vote?
I don't know, not at the moment.
That's really
I have voted in the past. I'm not really too knowledge about all of that.
Sometimes I've not voted, other times I have done.
I didn't vote this time round. I just didn't feel like anyone was supporting my community. There wasn't a real voice for us.
Within Gypsy, Roma and Travellers, we know that the majority of people do not vote. And that actually comes back to a number of factors.
I think it's to do with political apathy and the fact that we just don't trust politicians. We're a community that's always been thrown under the bus, and it doesn't matter what party seems to be in power, we're always at the end of their priority list. But when it comes to racially abusing us or making it so it's really difficult for us to just live our lives, we're at the top of their priority list, and we've become a focal point of the culture war in this country.
If you come from a background of prejudice, racism and bigotry in the way that we have, then you are reluctant to involve yourself with any kind of government organisation. You don't really want people to know too much about you, so you keep people at arm's length.
There's also not necessarily understanding the process and having fears and anxieties around how do I vote, but there's also that kind of feeling that it absolutely will not make a difference.
I think the biggest barrier is cynicism, and I can understand it. Gypsy, Roma and Travellers, they look at the political parties, the offers that are there, and they think there's nothing there for me.
I think Roma, Gypsy and Travellers communities were somehow afraid to become part of the systems, because systems of history oppressed us. But in the same time, if you are not part of the power systems, you cannot really influence the daily lives.
Part of the problem in this country is that we're used as a political football, especially in local elections. There's two issues on the doorstep. There's potholes and then there's unauthorised encampments. The issue with unauthorised encampments is that politicians from all parties don't believe that we as constituents have a right to somewhere to live or have a right to access the services that councils are meant to provide for everybody, not just people from non-Gypsy, Roma and Traveller communities. We're seen as less deserving. That shouldn't be the case. And instead of treating us as their constituents, there was a debate in the Houses of Parliament where they talked about Gypsies and Travellers and our local communities as if we're not part of their local communities, as if we're not constituents of theirs. What our community has to realise is that these politicians, they're meant to serve people like us. We have a vote, and in a democracy, our vote is meant to be equal to that of anybody else.
Your local politicians are your representatives, and they're the guys that are going to be taking part in regional spatial strategies. They're going to be getting involved in local development plans. If you're from the traveller community and you want a local site, how are you going to expect to get a local site if you're not shaping the local political agenda?
80% of travellers live in housing. They're going to school, they're accessing education. Reading and writing is not going to be the issue for those people. It is going to be an issue for those of an older generation who maybe didn't get full schooling or any schooling at all. There are also the other issues of not wanting somebody, for example, to know that you live on a traveller site.
How can we expect our parliament to be representative of the diversity of our community and the diversity of this country if we're not having active input into that system?
If you want to change something, then you have to do something to change it. And voting is one of the ways that you can change things.
My family have always said it's important to vote, it's important to make your political voice heard, and it's important to make a stand. Even if it just feels like the political parties is a one-party system, it's always important for the more marginalised people to vote for people that are going to be less destructive.
Try voting, even if it might not happen, at least you've tried to take part.
I'm a great believer there's no point sitting on the armchair moaning about society and moaning about life if you're not going to actively participate and try and shape your local environment. One of the best ways you can do that is to get off your butt, go down and vote. It's really about understanding the power of the vote individually but collectively. It's really, really powerful, and it can change an incredible amount.